Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert from the Business Awards Show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards and the Best SME Awards. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Louise Wheeler, all the way from the Isle of Man. Her company is L C Consulting, and she's a learning and organisational development consultant, and she's been doing that for over 15 years. And 4 years ago, she decided to quit the gaming industry and set up her own business. And since then has not only won awards, but was so inspired at award ceremonies, she has set up her own awards called Elevate You, so that the women of the Isle of Man could have an awards ceremony on the island without having to travel tens of thousands of millions of miles across the UK and beyond to get an award. So, welcome, Louise.
Hi, Debbie.
Lovely, lovely to meet you because we were introduced by a mutual contact called the lovely Emma Hewitt, who is an award writer, who said to me, "You have got to talk to Louise because not only has Louise won awards, but she's set up her own as well." So you tick so many boxes for me today.
Oh, that's great, Debbie. And yes, Emma is great.
We
She's
love
given
Emma.
me so much, so much support to help me set up my award, so much guidance. So yeah, Emma's lovely. She's great.
She is the font of all knowledge. So let's start, as we always do with our show, at the beginning of your business journey. So you were in the gaming industry. Talk us a little bit about all of that and why you left the gaming industry to set up on your own.
Sure. So I was in gaming for about 4 years, doing what I do now. I was a talent lead, obviously for a global e-gaming company based here on the Isle of Man, and helping people with their learning, their development. I did a lot of organisational development work whilst I was there as well, helping understand culture and values, along with developing future stars and supporting managers and leaders at executive level, right the way down to first line globally. So, big, busy job. Previous to that, I worked in the Isle of Man government for 11 years. So, if you could imagine one end of a continuum to the other, that is the jump I made.
Huge.
Yeah, huge jump. Um, but loved it, absolutely loved it. Um, Very exciting industry to work in, equally as stressful as it is exciting,
Mm.
in a bit of a weird way. And I loved it. I learned so much. However, there was an opportunity that I couldn't miss in terms of it was a bit like, do I stay or do I go? As the song goes. And I didn't really know what I was going into, but made the leap
Mm.
and decided to go, and use my knowledge, skills, experience, qualifications to set myself up as an L&D and organisational development consultant. And here I
Amazing.
am 4 years later.
Are you actually from the Isle of Man originally?
No, can you tell by my accent?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm an Essex girl,
Are you? And what
and
took you
I've
to the Isle
lived.
of Man?
Well, that's a whole nother story, Debbie, if you have time.
Go on.
If I was to say free lift, that's not in a really dodgy way.
Oh my
It was a free
goodness.
lift. So before I came to the island, I've been here for about 23 years now. Before I came here, I was living on Guernsey.
Wow.
I was a travel consultant. I have a varied background. I was a travel consultant, and my now husband, was living in Switzerland. He moved over to be with me in Guernsey. We were both there for about 2 years, 3 years, and really wanted to buy a house. And if you're not a Guernsey born, um, you need to have millions to be able to buy a house. And of course, we didn't have millions. Um, my now husband was working with a Manxman in
Ah.
an office in Guernsey who had been seconded to Guernsey but was due to go back to the Isle of Man and said to Paul, my husband, well, I'm going back to the Isle of Man. You're welcome to throw your stuff in my van and come over with me. So we said, okay then. And that was that. We literally packed up our lives into the back of a shared van and drove ourselves from Guernsey, couple of boats, quite a few miles later, arrived on the Isle of Man for a maximum of 5 years.
Wow, that's an incredible story, isn't it?
Yes, I don't think I would be that brave now to do that.
But I think that's what we do when we're young. We don't have kids, we don't have ties. We just think, yeah, do you know what? I can do
Why
that.
not?
Why not?
Yes,
And
yes,
what a great decision it obviously was for you.
for sure. And I was very lucky. I'd secured myself another travel consultant job before I arrived onto the island. It took a little bit longer for my husband to find work, so that was quite
Mm.
stressful. But the people we moved over with found us somewhere to live, really settled us down. Um, and because I was working, we kind of just got settled much quicker. We had some money coming in, we had somewhere to live. We don't have to worry too much about living and working um, on the same permit, which is what it is in Guernsey. So I was working and I had a permit to work. So that was fine. Everything was fine. But we did say 5 years and then we'll move on somewhere else. But life happens, doesn't it? You get married, you have children, you build your career, and 20 years later, we're like, we should have left 15 years ago.
But we're still.
But we're still here.
So 4 years ago, when you set up your own consultancy business, I mean, what challenges have you had to overcome doing that?
I've had many, like, if I think in the simplest form of setting up your business, I literally didn't even know where to start. Like, where do you even start to set up your business? Get an email address that is a professional email address. Knowing that my audience were going to be corporate, I needed to have a particular email address, let's say, like Gmail was not going to really cut the
No.
mustard with my clients.
No.
So how do you set that up? How do you get the servers to support that? How do you set up a website? How do I get my tech sorted? Because I knew that I would also be working virtually.
Yeah.
My clients are global. So there's only so many clients here on the Isle of Man. There's a lot of global companies. So I need all of the tech. I, believe it or not, came from a tech world, but really didn't know very much about tech. Like that wasn't the job I had.
No. Why would you?
Yeah, that's it. And
Mm.
then registering your company and registering the name and then finding an accountant. I mean, it was from the most basic thing. I look back now and think, I don't know how I managed to navigate all of that to then be able to arrive at where I am. So the smallest things at that point were really big challenges for
Mm.
me. And then, as the years go by, you get a little bit more experience. I mean, I'm only 4 years into my business, so I wouldn't say I was experienced at all. Um, but you do learn, you obviously learn by your mistakes, and you also learn very quickly how the climate can impact your business.
Mm.
And for me, learning and development budgets are always and have always been the first thing that moves off of a boardroom table. I know that. I've sat round the table and I've had to shift my own budget. So I know that it happens. And it's happening more and more and more now. And then I have clients, companies wondering why their managers are burnt out, they can't cope, they're leaving. And it's purely because the budget has been removed and no support is being offered. So that noise has just got louder in my world. No money, no budget. Managers aren't doing what they need to be doing. Leaders aren't behaving in the way they're behaving because there's just no resource to support people, businesses in that way.
Hard, very difficult.
Really
So
difficult, yeah.
how did you go about finding your first clients when you first started the business?
I was super lucky, super lucky. So the e-gaming company that I left brought me back in as a consultant to finish the leadership work that I was doing. They knew me, they knew what I
Mm,
offered, they knew how I worked. I knew their business and the industry, not necessarily inside out, but I had 4 years worth of experience. So my first contract was back in with the company that I left. So bizarrely, my year one was really like being employed.
mm,
So my year one in business wasn't really, my year two was my toughest year because
mm,
that was it. I was out on my own. Um, because I'd worked so hard year one, I'd got no other clients.
mm,
I was literally left with, right, now what do I do? The only thing I had got, Debbie, was I'd set all the business up. I'd got all the tech, all those challenges I
mm.
found in the beginning,
So you
I
were
had
ready to go.
overcome. That's it.
Yeah,
I was ready to go, but I had nowhere to go.
right.
I had no clients. So then I was doing the promoting myself, got myself a really great website set up, started promoting myself through that, and slowly, word of mouth,
Mm,
people contacting me saying, "Oh, Lou, I've heard you do this." Um, Also doing a little bit of research to see what isn't being offered that
mm.
where I could fill that gap.
So
And
you were
that was
very
my
much.
first step.
Mm,
Yeah. I learned very quickly what my competitors were offering. Um, in a way that I didn't want to compete with them.
mm,
That's just like not my bag. I know who my competitors are. Don't get me wrong. We are all here offering very similar things, but I wanted to offer something different so that I was then really the only option for clients on the Isle of Man to go to because I was then the only person offering that.
so you made a conscious decision to do that then.
Absolutely. I got myself qualified. I did a whole qualification whilst I was setting up the business. Um, I bought licenses so that I could do things in a different way. I qualified to be a fellow with the Institute of Leadership so that I could offer accredited leadership programs. Yeah, it's just so that I stood out and looked a little bit different to the other competitors that are here.
That's a really savvy business decision, Louise. And I think that's to be admired, to be honest, because there are a lot of people winging it out there. And actually, the fact that you consciously made that decision to really focus and think about not just your niche, but also what you could offer that others weren't offering, and all of these additional qualifications and licenses, I think that's to be admired. So well done.
Thanks, Debbie. That's really kind of
So,
you. And I don't think of it, of course, I don't think of it in that way at all.
you
Um,
probably should.
yeah, I probably should.
So, can you just give me sort of couple of examples of the sorts of projects that you work on with companies and what you actually deliver to them?
Sure. So the majority, I mean, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Learning and organizational development consultant.
I didn't
Like,
say
what does
that.
that even mean? In its simplest terms, the majority of my time is spent delivering training. I
Mm,
specialize in leadership and management training.
right.
I'm all for remembering when I was a manager for the very first time, not only how lonely that felt, but I literally had no idea how
Mm,
to manage people, how to have difficult conversations, how to motivate them, how for me to do less work and get them to do the work, as well as juggling all of the plates that you have as a manager either first line or middle. Middle is the worst place to be at the moment, as a manager. So my experience really does help me do what I do because I get it. I have been there and done that, and the practical conversations and hints and tips I give people really are the nuggets within
Mm.
my training sessions. So I've written accredited leadership programs. I deliver workshops. I create bespoke programs specifically if a client wants certain topics, and I can pull that together as a program. And so the majority of my time is delivering training, and I deliver that half days. So I make it really attractive for businesses now so that they aren't losing people from the workplace for too
Okay.
long. Um, Attention spans are getting shorter and shorter because of the amount of tech that surrounds people whilst they are in the training room. So it's a slight extension of bite-sized learning. It's like 3.5 hours, but you have time to look at your emails, you come and do some learning, and then you head on back for lunch.
Mm.
Is what I stick to. Anyone asks me to do a day's delivery, it's
Too
a
long.
no from me because it just has no impact.
Mm. Too long.
Too long. I'm an executive coach as well, so I do a lot of coaching, I do a lot of mentoring. In fact, that's something that I'm being shouted out a lot for at the moment, working one-to-one
Mm.
with either first line managers, people that have never managed people before, right the way up to C-suite,
Mm.
for varying reasons, different pressures, different problems. Um, and then the organisational side is really interesting. I'm just as passionate about culture and helping organisations build and create values that help describe how people operate within that organisation. It's a huge piece of work, but so valuable. And again, yeah, I'm just as passionate about that as I am making sure managers have what they need to be the best they can be.
So important. So let's talk about awards. So when did Business Awards appear on your radar? And what was your thought process behind entering?
Well, I guess I've got two kind of examples. So when I was in e-gaming, yes, there's lots of awards in
Mm.
e-gaming. Um, Obviously not here on the Isle of Man. And I was invited as to represent my company to an awards event, and we won.
Oh,
It was a well-being. So that was my first experience picking up an award and being on stage. To be honest, I thought absolutely nothing of it at all. I was super proud to get it. I was employed by that company. That company won it. I was interviewed on behalf of the company. I brought the award back here to the Isle of Man. It was a big celebration. I really saw myself as the vehicle collecting that award as opposed to it being anything else. So it came into my life and then very quickly left, if I'm being completely honest.
you didn't feel it was your award solely, I suppose, because it was for the company and you were there as a representative. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's kind of how I thought awards were. Like, it's a big company thing.
Mm.
And then last year, I was on a virtual course, and there were varying speakers right the way through. It was like an eight-month course. And someone came on that was talking about awards and how she applies for awards and how what that does to her business, and it raises her profile, all of these things that we know what awards do. But I sat there and thought, who would apply for an award themselves? Like, who does that? Is what
Lots
I
of
actually is what I actually thought. Because my experience was from a big corporate going
Mm.
to an awards event, collecting it on behalf of the company. There
Yeah.
was no sort of personal attachment.
No.
So when I heard this person talking about this, it was like an alien was talking to me about, you should apply, Lou, you should apply for awards. I was like, oh no, I don't do things like that. But it did something. It made me think. It made me wonder. It made me curious. So I started, Googling and seeing what there was. Bearing in mind, there's a sports award here on the Isle of Man, and there's awards for excellence.
Mm.
That's probably it.
Mm.
Um, Institute of Directors,
Mm.
yes. Um, but that's probably from the top of my head, that's probably it. So really very little experience of going to awards, no experience other than a company of receiving awards. So yeah, I was curious, started digging around, seeing what there was, started looking at questions, started thinking maybe I could do this, started getting into that community of awards, linking with people that support people going for awards. So I was learning, learning and
Mm.
learning and learning. Um, and the first awards I came across were Sandra Garlick's awards, Woman Who, Solopreneur. So I thought, well, that's me. I'll give it a go. So did my research. At that point, I was connected to Emma. So we had done that course together. That's how Emma came into my world. So Emma was giving me some hints and tips on her Facebook page, I think. So I just went for it. And rookie error, I just went for it online, filled it all in. One of my boys called me away. I never went back to my computer until much later to find that I'd lost the whole lot. All of
Oh.
my application had gone.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, first learn was don't type your answers straight
Write it on
into.
a Word document. Yeah.
Yeah, I literally did that. So that was my first experience. I was lucky enough to be a finalist
Oh, so you did go
for
back and redo it.
Sandra's. I went back and did
Good.
it
Good.
because I thought, how can I have put all of that in to just walk away and
Yeah.
not? I need to try to pull back some of that. I did scribble notes,
Right.
but they were just really scribbled words, really. So I did redo it and I did submit it and I did get interviewed and I did become a finalist. And I did go to the effort of and it is an effort. There are very few flights off of the island. I did go to the effort of going to Sandra's award, and it was just brilliant. I loved it, and that was in the October. And then during that time, I'd also applied for the Institute of Directors, Director of the Year, Young and Startup over here on the Isle of Man. And that was being held in the November. So I came back from Sandra's. I didn't win, but I came back with so much more. And then November went to the Institute of Directors Awards event, which was here on the Isle of Man. And was absolutely shocked that I won. I to win Director of the Year in what was my third year birthday blew my mind. I could not believe it. And that gave me another bit on top of Sandra's. That gave me another boost that made me really realize actually I am doing something right. There is something in this. Um, what else can I apply for?
You got the awards drug. That's what it is.
It is.
And
It
so have you
is.
applied for anything else since then?
So I applied for Woman Who Solopreneur again,
Mm.
and I won this year. I won with Sandra. Um, have I applied for? There was a couple. There were a couple of others that I applied for this year, My intention is to be more strategic,
Mm.
actually, though, Debbie, moving forward. So I've won two business awards now, which is absolutely fantastic. And I have got a bit of an awards bug. Strategically, I would love to win some awards in the areas that I work.
Exactly.
So
Industry. Mm.
that's right. Industry led, specific learning development, coaching, culture, anything like that, I think would be my next goal.
Definitely. So let's talk about your own awards. So this win inspired you to set up Elevate You so that, people have got something on the Isle of Man. Because how big is the Isle of Man? How many people live on the island?
There's about 83,000
Oh, so it's
people
like the
living
size
on
of
the Isle of
a large
Man,
town. Hmm.
like the size of a large town,
Hmm.
yes. Um, and things don't happen particularly fast here. Uh, we're a few years behind the UK. And awards, I guess, is up there with that. It's not huge amount of action over here for awards, not a huge amount of action for supporting women. Only within the last couple of years, groups have networking groups have been created. So there just isn't that support and or recognition
Hmm.
specifically for women in business. And it was Sandra's awards last year when I was a finalist. I sat in the room with Sandra and over 120 women. And having never been to anything like that before, um, just thought this is amazing. Like, I just want to bottle this up and transport it back to the Isle of Man and let everybody see and feel what I am seeing and feeling right now.
Hmm.
And I was sat next to a lady that won that year, and I said to her, "There is just nothing like this on the Isle of Man." And she said to me, "Do it then. Why don't you do it?" And I said, "I can't do it." "Oh no. What do I know?" "What do I know about awards?" She said, "Well, you know quite a lot because you've applied for an award
Hmm.
and you're sat here now." And I'm like, "Oh no, it's not it's nothing to do with what I do." Like, no, no. But there again, there was a seed.
Hmm.
There was a seed sown. And I came back from Sandra's event, so that would have been in the September, and I sat on this idea until January the following year because I didn't know what to do with it.
Hmm.
I didn't know where to start. It was too big for me to get my head round. I was too scared. I was busy doing what I do as a job that pays the mortgage. Um, so I left it, but not quite left it. It was still in my head, and I just gave myself the biggest kick by saying to myself, how would you feel if somebody else on the island did this?
Hmm.
And then that was it. That was the kick. I just needed to have a word with myself, and that was the kick that I needed. So Elevate You was born and launched in February this year. From nothing, I had nothing. Not only did I have nothing, I also had no idea of what I was doing. So created that in the February. Was very clear on what I wanted because I'd had a really great example from Sandra. So um, I and also recognise the gap over here in terms of recognising women that are leaders, that are entrepreneurs, and that are solopreneurs. So those were the three categories that I ran my awards through. Um, and launched that process in May this year. And then in September, we had I had the event and I hosted my very first awards event.
Wow. And how
And
many
it was
judges did you
amazing.
have?
How many in the room? There were 100 in the room. I oversold on numbers. I set out, Debbie, thinking if I can get 30 women interested in this
Mm.
and have a nice little time, either book a nice restaurant or book a room, have a bit of recognition, year one, that would be great. So it just absolutely exploded. I launched the forms. I got over 60 forms. It's over 60 entries come through, over 40 people. Um, First round of tickets sold out immediately. So I had to up my numbers and was pushing it in terms of venue and numbers, and ended up with, yeah, 100, just over 100, I think it was in the end in the room. It was amazing, like so much bigger and better than I had ever dreamt it would be.
Amazing. And who judged it?
So I had four business judges that were that covered the three entry requirements. So someone that represented leaders. That was very much for the private and corporate space. Someone that was an entrepreneur, and then someone that was a solopreneur. So I had a couple of leaders. One was a man, three ladies. So the four of them had criteria that I had written. Again, what do I know about writing criteria? What do I even know about writing award questions, Debbie? What do I know about creating a sponsor pack and seeking sponsors? Um, yes, it was a huge learning curve. And in my head, I thought, this is a really big piece of work that I was doing at the weekends because of my consultancy. If I do it again, I'll do it biannually because it's a small community.
Mm. So every other
Um,
year.
yeah, I thought that that would be a really good approach. And at the event in September, I put down feedback cards because I wanted to understand what more people wanted or what
Yeah.
less or a different category or how often. So, I mean, every single card that came back was every year. This has to happen again, Lou.
Oh, that's lovely.
So I am doing it again next year. But we'll see how often after that.
So how many people got awards on the night then? How did you do that?
So each category had three, sorry, each category, the three categories ended up with five winners. So I had five
Right.
finalists, sorry. So there were 15 finalists, but there was only one winner per category.
Oh, wow. Good.
It was an afternoon event. I was very aware as a working mum
Mm,
how hard it is because we have no family here.
yeah.
Sorting out childcare and all of that. So I was sure that I wanted as many women in the room as possible, and if
Mm,
that meant children as well, then so be it. So I ran it as an afternoon event, starting at 12,
mm,
wrapped up by 3,
yeah. So people.
afternoon tea. I had a guest speaker, the wonderful Roisin Quinn, came over from the UK, who was the winner on Interior Masters with Alan Carr.
Oh,
So she was a guest speaker, um, and yeah, we were all wrapped up. People were back either doing the school run or back to work. So and that went down really well.
yeah, because I think what you've done is you have brought the awards element and brought it together by thinking about your audience and what's important to them. And I think that's quite a valid point, really, because with a pool of a total of 83,000 people, which are not all women, are they?
No.
So, but tailoring it to the fact that a lot of them don't have family support on the island because they've moved there without that. Doing an evening event would have proved to be difficult for a lot of people, and
Mm,
therefore you're diluting your event. If a lot of them can't make it, then it's pointless, isn't it? So you've actually thought that through.
absolutely.
And you can have a
Yeah.
lovely afternoon tea anyway. It can be it's just a
Oh, we did. I
good
mean, the food,
celebration.
yeah, the food was absolutely wonderful. I secured a wonderful venue. Um, and I mean, the feedback I got was really great. Like,
Mm.
would would absolutely do exactly the same thing again. Like, I don't need to change anything.
No.
It went down so well. And the other events that the other events that do run here, they're all evenings. They all
Mm.
have big screens and big lights and big music. And I was so sure that I was not going to be the same as everybody else. I kind of took the same view as when I set up my business, what can I offer that no one else is?
Yeah, totally
And
agree.
I wanted to do the same with this, make it something very different.
See, when I set up my awards in 2015, so a long time ago, it was
Mm.
exactly the same. It was born from winning a couple of awards myself and being one of only two or three women on the stage. And at the time, there were actually, and I know this sounds really weird now, but there were actually only two award programs for women. That was it.
Wow.
So I set about, and I wanted them to have the glitz and the glamour and have an evening do
Yes.
was showcasing them because there wasn't anything else. There was a lunch event that was done by another awards. They're still going actually in central London. Um, and there wasn't anything else because the other awards were very much aimed at women running multi-million pound businesses, and most women don't run a multi-million pound business. So I
No.
kind of went on it from that perspective. And of course, now there's loads and loads of awards out there, which
Yes.
not all awards are equal, I have to say.
No. I agree. And I'm finding this out, Debbie. We
Mm,
are very, I say sheltered, but I don't mean that in a negative way here on the Isle of Man. We don't have the exposure
mm,
that you have to awards. We just don't see, unless we go looking for it, we
mm,
don't see it. So we don't have a lot of award noise. We don't have the experience perhaps of applying for bad awards.
mm.
Um, so I kind of want to help women here recognize the
Yeah.
good awards that you can go for that actually raise your profile and help your business and your career. So if
Mm.
you are a leader working for a corporate, you can absolutely apply for awards as you, not as the business, like was my experience.
Yeah, which is great.
Likewise, if you're just running your own business, like me, a solopreneur, just doing their best, actually elevate yourself and really put yourself out there through applying for awards. This is all like new words, new music here on the island because it's just never been done for women before. And I've kind of become that advocate that we're not just going to be recognising women on the Isle of Man. The platform I've created supports them as well.
Which is important because actually
Yeah.
so are you running additional events with Elevate You or just
I'm
the
trying to,
yeah.
Debbie. Yeah, I've created it now and I talk about it very much as a community platform.
Yeah,
Yes,
good.
it will sit awards on it, but along with it, a little while, just a few weeks ago, actually, I ran a little 11-day challenge on raising your visibility using social media. Like how scary that can be. There's a lot of noise out there, but there's room for you.
Mm,
So just giving little prompts, 11 days. I share stats in terms of what women look like in this global sphere. Little quotes, get the ladies that are following the page to share some of their ethics about their products, about their services. So really just trying to get the momentum going on the platform. It's just so new, Debbie. Um, it's new for me and it's new on the island. So yeah, it will take a while to get going, but I've had such great success from the awards event that I'm hoping I can keep some momentum.
I think you will, and I think your enthusiasm is quite infectious, and your
Oh,
ethos is good. So I think you've got all the elements there, which is amazing.
yeah,
So we
let's
always
hope so.
finish our show by asking our guests for a tip. So this could be a business tip, it could be a learning development tip, I don't know. But if people are listening to this, what one bit of wisdom would you like to share?
One bit of wisdom, whether it's across my leadership development or supporting women in business, I have had a saying, let's say, this year that has got me going, and it's do it scared. Say yes and do it scared.
A
Because
good
that
wisdom.
yes, you just don't know where it's going to go. I said yes to entering the Solopreneur Awards last year as a finalist and came back with this amazing idea for Elevate You. So I said yes to that and just keep saying yes, even though your gut wants to say, not necessarily your gut, your feeling
Mm.
wants you to say, no, I'm too scared. Say yes. Say yes and do it scared.
Yeah, that's this reminds me of the Susan Jeffers book, Feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's it. Yes. Very, very, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's it. And we need to say yes more often because if it goes wrong, then there's great learning in that.
Always great learning. I always say to people, my motto is just JFD, which is like, what's the
Yes,
worst thing that can happen,
that's
know?
it. Yeah,
And
for
you'll always
sure.
learn from stuff that doesn't quite go to plan.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, like with what happened with you, you far exceeded what you thought, like by miles. If you thought you were going to get 30 women in the room and you got 100, that in
Yeah.
itself shows the power of us trusting ourselves and putting our plans into action.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the trust that you put in yourself to know that you'll do a good job. And what is the worst that can happen? So
Exactly.
say yes and do it scared.
Well, what a great little sentence, which has very powerful meaning to end our podcast today. So thank you for joining me all the way from the Isle of Man. This is the power of Zoom. I can talk to people wherever in the world. We will make sure that Louise's details are in the show notes so that you can contact her if you want to talk to her about learning and organisational development in your company. And also, if you're listening and you're in the Isle of Man and you didn't know about these awards, you're going to know about them now. So you need to contact her for more information. So we'll make sure that the Elevate You links are also in the show notes. Well, well done to you, Louise. You are definitely an action taker. And if there was an award for action taking, you would definitely get it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I wish you continued success on your business journey.
Thank you, Debbie. So lovely to talk to you today. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you.